Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Partnerships for Profit. I'm your host, Ana Del Rio, and this week we're joined by Andrea Belk Olson, behavioral scientist, strategist, TEDx speaker, and contributing author for Harvard Business Review and Entrepreneur Magazine. Andrea helps organizations turn strategy into action and cover what customers truly need but never say out loud. And you know why I'm laughing? Because
oh man.
No. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're so glad that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. It's so funny because we were just talking about pronunciation right before we started. And of course, I think you and I are going to struggle through this one.
Hey, you know what? It is what it is. We're human and we'll get through it. All right, Andrea, tell me about yourself. Tell everyone, where you're coming from and what you do.
Yes. So, fundamentally, I'm a business consultant, but I specialize in strategy execution and organizational change. So there's always that looming strategy execution gap, especially for large companies. When you roll out a new strategy, everybody's excited, but then the question is, what changes and how do I change, or how does the organization change to implement it? So I kind of develop a process to translate that strategy into something the front lines and individual departments can activate and use each and every day in their own context. As you mentioned, I'm a behavioral scientist. I study organizational change. I happen to be a licensed TEDx director for a TED event here in the Quad Cities. I also am an adjunct professor at the University of Iowa, teaching entrepreneurship. And then I do a lot of writing for some major business publications, and I'm on my 4th book now.
That's so exciting. You wear many, many hats. So you've helped grow a startup from 10,000 to millions. What was the one decision that truly changed everything?
Oh, it's never just one decision, obviously. Okay. But if I had to think of the big thing that made the biggest shift, it was when we really made the decision to stop trying to be everything to everyone. So in the beginning, we kind of had this mindset that any client was going to be a good client, which meant every project was custom, every solution was different, and every sale was just a total grind. So the real breakthrough came when we really narrowed our focus down to a specific niche. And for our case, it was hospitals and health systems, and then built a product and platform around their specific unique challenges. So that shift really changed everything. It changed our messaging. It became clearer. Our operations became more efficient, and our growth became a lot more predictable. So it really taught me and the team that focus isn't limiting, it's really liberating. So it's really once we stop chasing opportunities everywhere that we can finally build a business with real traction.
So niching down, basically, finding your ideal avatar and working towards that and grinding towards that.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. You work with billion-dollar companies. What's the biggest misconception leaders have about customer centricity?
Oh gosh, you think that big companies have it all together, right? That they know what they're doing.
You would think.
Yeah, and the scrappy companies are just trying to figure it out as they go, which to an extent is true in certain ways. But a lot of big companies think that customer centricity is about making customers happy. And it's actually, it sounds crazy, but it's not about making them happy. It's really about making the organization really capable of understanding and adapting to customers' changing needs. So that means like rethinking your systems, rethinking incentives, even culture, and not launching like just a new survey or a loyalty program. It requires like operational empathy. And that's really means translating customer insight into structural change. And, that's where most leaders tap out because it's messy and it's uncomfortable. And big companies really have a hard time with being that agile.
Well, you said that you're on your fourth book, you said?
Correct.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So in your book, What to Ask, you say customers don't always know what they need. So how do you uncover that, like what they won't actually tell you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just think about a friend, right? If you ask them what they want and they say, "Oh, I don't know," whether it's a gift or even just going out to eat. That's
Mhm.
even the hardest part. Just ask your friend,
Yeah.
where do you want to eat? And they don't know. Um, I think the key, and I talk about this extensively in the book in specific ways to kind of fetter out those things that customers don't speak about. But you stop asking them directly what they want because people can't articulate what they don't consciously recognize. So
Mm,
instead of traditional research, you really want to observe their behaviors and challenges in context. And that might be in the physical space, that might be them operating, that might be a conversation that you're kind of almost serving as a detective to find out, the need
mm,
behind the need. And
mhm.
you want to look for patterns in what people do versus what they say. And then you can really design a question set and kind of reveal the why, those underlying motivations, trade-offs, and constraints that
Right.
drive their choices. And that's really where the real insights hide, in that gap between intention and action.
And that makes sense. I mean, and I have here, like, you've led major organizational changes. Like, what's the real reason employees resist transformation, even when it's good for them?
Hmm. Well, good in quotes is kind of subjective, right? I
True.
mean, leaders are going to
True.
see transformation as an organizational opportunity, and
Mm.
employees are going to often see it as like a loss of control, a loss of
Um,
familiarity, or even like perceived competence. And so
mm,
I think people don't resist change itself. They really resist having that lack of control and being unprepared and not
mm.
having a hand in participation of that change. So when change feels like it's done for them rather than with their input and participation, resistance is just a natural defense mechanism. So the real work of change isn't communication, it's really co creation.
Well, it's obvious that you're helping these big organizations, but can you tell me, like, and who it is truly that you are, like, helping? Like, what yeah, let's
It's
get into
it's
that.
it's twofold. It's
Okay.
twofold. So on one hand, I'd like to say I'm helping the frontline leaders who can
Okay.
then help their frontline employees.
Right.
Those middle managers are always caught in a very precarious space. They have to not only communicate things to their team and try to guide their teams with often little information or
Mhm.
constantly changing priorities. And so they need a way to try to build consistency and trust. The
Mhm.
other side is that they have to manage up. So they have those leaders that are kind of forcing some of these
Right.
sporadic changes or these inconsistencies that they have to navigate. So the
Mhm.
other part that I try to help are those leaders to identify their behaviors and
Mhm.
kind of those key three behaviors that I've narrowed it down to that really create that churn, to create that unsteadiness and really cause confusion and fracture within the organization. And they don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah, I could see that. I truly could see that. I wanna hear a story though, like of like an organization that you've actually, that you've helped and their transformation. Everybody has that one story.
Yeah, I've got a few of them.
Tell
So I
me.
don't want to give away any names just to
Of course.
protect their privacy.
Okay.
But there was one that had a CEO that had been there for a very long time, many decades. And he really wanted to kind of catapult the growth of the organization.
Mhm.
So we implemented a new strategy. And it was, the common refrain. It's okay, we're going to grow. These are the goals. We're going to focus on customer service, customer experience.
Mhm.
And we're really going to kind of push to advance our infrastructure, whether that's
Mhm.
technology or processes or things like that. That sounds all good and well, but the problem is that's a very amorphous statement. Even if you
Mhm.
put numbers behind it, what does it mean to make those transformations? Where do you focus your efforts? What do you do? What do you do different that you've been doing in the past that you shouldn't be doing today or doing more of today? And that's where the disconnect happens. So in their case, every probably 8 to 12 months, they would relaunch the strategy in a different package because no action was happening. Leadership, upper leadership was getting frustrated because people weren't adopting the strategic plan. So we came in and said, okay, the big problem here is that we have that disconnect between your aspirational goals and what that means to everyone in the organization across the board, right? Could be a marketing manager, could be the janitor, could be the receptionist, doesn't really matter. What does this strategy mean for them? And then what tools do they need to be empowered to activate their area of responsibility to impact strategic change? So we built that tool that kind of fits right in between to develop a consistent through line as well as define behaviors and mindsets so everyone's going in the same direction.
Oh, wow. So you take that whole behavioral scientist aspect of your skill set and really implement it into how you assess and assist these.
Right. Because change is about the way you think, your outlook, your perception, your mindset, and it's all about behaviors as well, right? We think it's about communication, but that's only one tiny piece of it. If you're trying to, let's say, get fit, you can have someone tell you all the data and information about why getting fit is good and what it does for your health and what it does for your well-being. But where the change happens is behaviors, right? What you do every day and how you build healthy habits. And then also your mindset about it, right? How you view it. Is it a slog? Is it something you look forward to? Is it something that really motivates you in the morning? And so I think we need to take that concept of mindsets and behaviors and apply that to organizational change.
That makes complete sense. I mean, it's, I hate when I lose my train of thought because it was such a good segue and things. But you know what? Let's just roll with it. It just happens. It'll come back to
We're
me
good.
Later.
We're good. You'll be great.
So, okay. So 2 of your ideas were chosen as Harvard Business Review's definitive management ideas of the year.
Yes. It was such an honor, really.
That is so cool. What's the next big shift leaders need to prepare for now?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it feels cliche, but, we're in a time of change. And aren't we always in a time of change?
Always.
In some capacity. But I think we're really moving now from an era of efficiency to one of adaptability. Because for decades, organizations optimized for predictability control, right? Scale, consistency, etc. But the world doesn't reward that anymore as much. I mean, the next competitive advantage, especially with things like AI coming on board, is the ability to sense and respond faster than your competitors. So I think that means building organizations that learn, unlearn, and reconfigure themselves in real time. And that's not just about having the best strategy. It's really about having a culture agile enough to keep steering when the road disappears.
Do you find that you get resistance quite frequently when you are trying to implement the changes that are needed, from whether it be C-level to frontline? Is there quite a bit of
with our methodology, surprisingly a lot less than I anticipated. Just because you think, okay, everybody resists change in some capacity.
Right.
I think it's how you frame the change and how you enable the change. So our approach specifically focuses on giving employees and frontline leaders a framework to say, here's the roadmap, but how would you traverse it? And let them have the power to make decisions closest to the areas that they are responsible for, because they know those nuances. The leadership, the C-level leadership, it takes a moment, but they have to wrap their head around giving those employees that power and confidence and trust, but with a framework that has these guided boundaries. They feel a lot more confident in that, and they can see kind of the path that the strategy is going to go and how it's going to get implemented. So they have that confidence too. So it's that balance between structure and empowerment and guidance that really help make things click.
No, absolutely. The empowerment within any kind of organization with, frontline, I believe at least, it gives a sense of ownership and loyalty and, helps with retention and things like that. So
Right. You can't just say it. Again, as we
Right.
talked about communication versus mindsets and behaviors.
Right.
We talk about empowerment all the time. We talk about giving people ownership, but you can't just say, okay, you own it or you are
Right.
empowered. It's
Right.
the context and ecosystem around that actually makes that work.
That is so cool. So as far as your processes and like how you find your clientele and you go in and you start to implement like your process, what does that look like for them?
Oh, it's, kind of contradictory to the previous company that I helped found, and now it's growing and flourishing. We use the same process, but that process is tailored to each situation. So because we're industry agnostic, I mean, strategy is prolific. Everyone has a strategy, or they don't have a documented strategy, but they're operating as they do.
Right.
That it's tailored to their specific culture, their environment, their constraints. Maybe it's a highly regulated industry, so we have to consider that. Maybe it's a culture that is very traditional and hierarchical, and so we have to consider that. You can't just upend that cart just because a consultant walks in, or at least that's my philosophy. So everything is very, very tailored to the individual client situation and challenges. And we really look at the whole environment first. That doesn't mean going through all your data and doing bunches of studies. It's just saying, okay, let's look at what you're really good at, what your culture is, like what's at the heart of your culture, being honest about the good things and the warts as well. And then what does your strategy look like? And let's find the center between those three and then translate that into action.
So it has nothing to do with data, really. It's more so just the human aspect of the culture and
people insights.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, that's excellent. Well, do me a favor and tell everybody how they can find you so that they can get your help and your services.
Sure. I'm kind of all over the place. You can find me on LinkedIn by my name, Andrea Belk Olson. That's B as in boy, ELK. You can check out our company site. That's Pragmatic, spelled phonetically. It's PRAG, M as in mother, ADIK.com. I also have my own personal site where my books are for sale. All my publications and writings are there as well for different magazines. And then, of course, speaking and workshops. That is my full name, AndreaBelkOlson.com. Of course, on Instagram, on Twitter, and I'm sure there's some clips and videos on YouTube around there too.
I'm sure. All right, Andrea, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate all of the information and insight that you were able to provide. And I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, it was blessed. Thank you so much.
Great. All right, everyone. So thank you again for watching. And here you have it. We've got Andrea Belk at, holding it down at Pragmatic.
Exactly.
All right, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.